Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive into the world of AI careers. You guys sent in a ton of interest in this one. The ICT Intelligent Systems Designer. Luckily, we've got mountains of info from RoleCatcher about this one.
And it's a hot one right now. Let's decode what it takes to thrive in this role.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty, what exactly is an ICT Intelligent Systems Designer? It's a mouthful.
It is. It's not about like building robots in a lab all day, though, so that's part of it.
Right.
Think of it more like you're designing the program or the system that can basically think and learn like a human expert would.
Okay, so almost like you're creating a digital brain.
Exactly. And these brains can be used for all sorts of things, like robotics, engineering, computer science.
So it's way more than just one specific industry.
Oh, yeah. It's everywhere.
Okay, that makes sense. Give us some real-world examples, like what can these intelligent systems actually do?
Well, you know how some systems can now, like, diagnose diseases just by looking at a medical image? That's a great example. Or self-driving cars that can navigate through traffic even better than humans can. These are some of the problems that ICT Intelligent Systems Designers are working on.
Wow, okay, so we're talking about shaping the future here. This is big.
Definitely.
But how do they actually do that? What's a typical day look like for someone in this role?
Well, remember those thinking models we talked about?
Right.
A big part of the job is actually building those models. So that involves a lot of like feeding information into a system, and then you got to teach it how to actually make sense of that information. And that's where things like ontologies and knowledge bases come in.
Okay, now those sound pretty technical. Can you break those down a little?
Sure. Imagine you're trying to teach a computer to understand, let's say, a cooking recipe.
Okay.
An ontology is basically defining what a recipe is. You're telling it about the ingredients, the instructions, the cooking times. It's like you're setting the rules.
Right.
And the knowledge base is all the actual content, the specific ingredients for that recipe. You're giving the AI all the info it needs to actually understand that specific topic, which in this case is cooking.
So you're basically creating a digital chef, one recipe at a time.
Exactly.
So we've established that this field is like the cutting edge of the cutting edge.
Yeah.
But is it a smart career move? What's the potential here?
Oh, definitely a smart move. I mean, right now, the demand for anyone who can do this is just exploding.
Really?
It's true. Every industry out there is trying to figure out how to use AI.
Yeah.
They need people who can actually make it happen.
That's got to be good for salaries then.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher mentions some pretty impressive figures.
Oh, yeah. You're looking at six-figure salaries right out of the gate. Easy. And obviously the potential to earn way more as you get experience. The sky's the limit with this.
Okay. But high rewards usually mean there's some pretty big challenges too, right?
There's no such thing as a free lunch, right?
Yeah.
RoleCatcher definitely doesn't hide the fact that this is a competitive field. You're going up against some of the smartest people out there, all trying to get those same jobs.
So how do you stand out in that kind of environment?
It's all about constantly learning and evolving.
Okay.
You can't just learn a few things and then just coast. AI changes every single day, so you always have to be learning and updating your skills.
So you're constantly pushing yourself to stay ahead.
Exactly. Think about it. You could spend 6 months designing some incredible new system based on the latest AI thing everyone's talking about, and then bam, a new algorithm comes out that's even better.
Ouch.
You got to adapt or you get left behind.
That's intense, but it sounds kind of exciting too.
It is. If you're someone who loves a challenge, this is the field for you.
Okay, so we've talked about the rewards, the challenges. Let's get down to it. How do you actually break into this field?
Well, RoleCatcher makes it really clear that you need to come at it from all angles. And the first thing is a really strong educational foundation.
Okay, a strong educational foundation. Makes sense.
Right.
But we're not just talking about like a computer science degree.
You could, yeah. A lot of people in this field do come from a computer science background, but it's not the only way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. RoleCatcher actually highlights that this field is super multidisciplinary. So you could have a background in like AI, robotics, cognitive science. There are all kinds of paths you could take.
So someone with a psych background could actually end up in this field.
Totally. It's all about understanding how humans think and learn.
Right.
Which is super important when you're trying to design a system that can basically do the same thing.
Huh. It's like you're bringing a whole different perspective to the table.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you've got the educational background. You're learning new stuff all the time. What else? What are these companies really looking for?
Okay, so imagine you're interviewing someone for this role, right? They can tell you every AI theory in the book, but they've never actually built anything.
Yeah, that's not going to fly.
Not even a little bit. You got to have that hands-on experience.
So it's all about being able to actually do something with all that knowledge you've gained.
Yes. RoleCatcher talks a lot about the importance of a strong portfolio.
Hmm.
It's like your AI show reel. It's all about showing, not just telling.
Okay, so what kind of projects would really impress these companies?
It all depends on what you're into, right? Let's say you're really interested in how AI is being used in healthcare.
Okay.
You could maybe try developing an algorithm that can detect certain diseases really early on just from medical images.
Hmm.
Or if you're more into the self-driving car thing, you could build a little miniature vehicle that can drive itself through an obstacle course.
Now, that's way cooler than just a regular school assignment.
I know, right?
Yeah,
And the best part is you can kind of tailor those projects to whatever you want to do.
right. Show off your skills.
Exactly.
So we've got the education, the hands-on experience, building up a solid portfolio. Anything else?
Oh, yeah. Networking is huge.
Of course.
Like RoleCatcher talks about how important it is to just plug into the AI community,
Hmm.
go to conferences, join online forums, contribute to some open source projects. It's not even always what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, you got to put yourself out there.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say you do all that, you kill it in the interview. What kind of questions should you be ready for?
Well, RoleCatcher actually gives some great examples of common interview questions for this role. One that really stood out to me was, how do you stay up to date with all the new technology and trends in AI?
Yeah, because it changes so fast. How do you even keep up?
Right. This is where all that continuous learning comes in.
Mm.
You could talk about specific online courses you've taken, maybe some conferences you've gone to, even research papers you've read. Show them that you're not just keeping up, you're ahead of the game.
So you got to be passionate about it.
Oh, yeah, you got to love it.
This deep dive has been awesome. We went from what an ICT Intelligent Systems Designer actually is to how to become one.
It's a cool job.
It is a really cool job.
Yeah.
Any last words of wisdom for our listeners before we wrap up?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that this isn't an easy career path.
No.
It's going to take a lot of hard work. You got to be okay with things constantly changing, and you always have to be hungry to learn more.
But the rewards are huge.
Oh, yeah.
Not just financially, but intellectually.
For sure.
You really get to be on the cutting edge of something huge.
Just shaping the future.
So to wrap this up, we wanted to leave you with one final thought, something RoleCatcher mentioned that really got us thinking. If you're designing these intelligent systems, couldn't use them to actually get a job? How will AI change the future of hiring? That's something to think about. That's all the time we have for today's show, but we'll be back next week with another deep dive into the world of AI.